Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Layover Live. I'm Jason Swick, VP of Strategy and Insights, joined once again by my exquisite colleague, Sandy
Oh,
Jordan. So,
wow.
Sandy, I
Exquisite.
did. I'm
Well,
pulling
thank
it out.
you.
Yeah, yeah. Good
Yeah,
to see you.
great to see you. It's always good to be on the mic with you, Jason. You have the best DMs insights, and I'm always excited to hear more.
Okay. Hey, very good. I didn't pay you to say that, did I?
Not at all.
Okay, I don't owe you. I just want to make sure I didn't owe you anything for saying that, but thank you. But today we're going to do a little something different, okay? Because I know I want to do something a little bit extra fun. Earlier this year we had talked about predictions. It's something you and
Yep.
I, Sandy, like to do as we start a new year. And an episode, one of our episodes earlier this year, we made some bold predictions about what would happen in digital marketing, and then we turned those predictions into a bingo card to see if we could score a bingo by the end of the year. If you remember that, you and I and Paul were on that. So now with Q3 coming to a close, I think it's time to check in and see how accurate those predictions have been. So I wanted to do an episode around that. Really check to see if we got a bingo so far, which I think will be cool to check on, or are we still waiting to see if some of those come true? So what do you think about finding that out?
Yeah, no, I think that's great. So let's remind everybody how we actually created this
Okay.
list. We made some predictions, which we shared in that episode 208, which you guys can go back and listen to if you want to check that one out. And we put them on a bingo card. So throughout the year, we've been keeping an eye on those predictions to see if they come true. And now we're going to revisit those to see where we stand.
Okay. So that's super cool. I want to see if this works out. Now, listen, there were some kind of crazy ones in here, so
Yeah,
we'll,
yeah.
we'll tackle some of those as well. But I think it'd be, I think a good place to start is maybe addressing both of the ones that you and I had predicted first. I think we had two or three each, and I'll start with my predictions first, if that's all right with you. But
Yeah.
Okay. So the first one I had, right, and I knew this was going to happen. I think you knew it as well. Was that Google, the prediction was that Google was going to delay the sunsetting of third-party cookies.
Right.
And guess what? It happened.
Of course
Right?
it did.
How did we know that, right? Google once again delayed this phase out of their third-party cookies. In fact, Google in July finally announced that they were scrapping cookie deprecation plans altogether for Chrome.
Right.
Big announcement. I think there's no surprises here, as they've been, pushing back for a while. And finally, it's really led to them just abandoning this concept altogether. I think we saw that coming as we were starting to see them kick those dates back.
Mhm.
Plus, it really affects their business pretty dramatically. And you start talking about affecting dollars, you're going to start talking about whether they need to do it or not. And
That's right.
and yeah, and even looking at this, I wasn't alone in my thinking, and I know you felt that was going to happen too, Sandy. But according to Forrester, I saw some research on this too. 61% of B2C marketers in their recent 2024 survey said they did not even believe this was going to happen either. They thought,
Right.
they were going to do the same. So this is no crazy prediction by Nostradamus over here.
Yeah, right.
But that is a check on our bingo card, right? So we got at
That's
least
right.
one right. Okay?
Yeah. You can't get any insights if you don't have some kind of cookie to follow behaviors, and that's just the bottom line.
That's it. Although you should never trust cookies you can't eat. I think I heard that from a former colleague.
That's right.
But I think we knew this was going to happen in some way, shape, or form. Now, listen, it's we make fun, we poke fun at Google and everything else, but listen,
Sure.
we're living really in a privacy first world. There's a lot of change
Yes.
happening. They'll come up with some solution, but
They'll find a way.
regardless,
Yeah.
we're making that check. Now, the second one I had prediction, a little bit more out there, but I'm feeling like maybe it'll come true. Is that Elon was going to change X back to Twitter. Do you remember that one?
Right. I do. Yeah. He's not a fan of the bird.
He is not a fan of the bird, but let me tell you, a lot of folks are. I still refer to it as Twitter. Do you?
Everybody does.
Everybody
I just can't say X. X is always the afterthought. You say Twitter and then you say, oh, I mean X.
I totally agree. And all that brand equity with that too, which is crazy. But
Right.
yeah, it's crazy. But now, as of today, like we said, that hasn't happened quite yet. But
Right.
interestingly, Elon did post a poll recently, and I saw one of his posts that was asking users if he should change the name back. Now, I don't know if he was doing it kind of tongue in cheek. So while I can't claim 2 wins in a row there, Sandy, There is a possibility. So I'm going to keep my eye out on that one.
For sure. And, he could be asking that question for his own self-gratification and might have been surprised with the responses.
Boy, he would never do something like that.
No, right? Never.
Okay. So listen, we'll see. I think people still call it Twitter. I think it still has some legs. Right. Let's see what happens there. Now, the last one I do control. And selfishly, it was a way to get me to do this. But, I predicted that by the end of the year, I was going to lose 20 pounds. Okay. Yeah. So listen, I'm not there yet. Okay. If you see me, you would certainly agree with that. But right. I've lost 12 pounds year to date so far.
Congratulations.
So how about that? Right. I've lost them, hoping not to find them again. But
that's awesome.
Yes, I have lost those. So I'm on track. I can't check it off quite yet. But still in my control. So I'm hoping to get a win on this one soon.
Right.
So,
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So listen, that's my recap. One definite win, then one possibility, one still in progress. Let's check in with yours, Sandy.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So my first one was that UX officially becomes an SEO ranking factor.
Right.
And, this one's it's a little difficult to prove because UX specifically is not a ranking factor, but there's a lot of things that is influenced by the usability of your site that can absolutely point to a direct ranking factor. So we know that some of these behaviors are things that Google and other algorithms look for when they're determining the quality of a page. Ultimately, it means that your content needs to resonate with the audience and be easy to navigate. So those factors being a part of the ultimate set of ranking factors, to me, makes UX a very important piece. And I think this is an absolute win for us. So we could definitely check this one off because when you're looking at things like dwell time on a page, people bouncing back after they have clicked a page in search. These are things that definitely influence the algorithm, and forensic SEO analysts have said this time and time again. So definitely UX is a ranking factor, even if we don't see those forensic analysts saying the words usability specifically in those rankings.
Yeah, Liz, I could agree with you more. I think, listen, they're never going to tell us verbatim what factors are. I know now. Listen, Rand, and I know Fishkin and formerly of Moz, and Mike King, big SEO guys. Like they publish some leaks that have come out and start to evangelize some of those ranking factors, and some of that stuff's in there. But I've seen articles from SpyFu and others earlier this year that talked about this. So they're never going to explicitly say that. Right. But I think it's pretty clear they care about the user experience. They want people to not be clicking back. Well,
that's right.
I mean, I'd argue maybe sometimes they want people to be clicking back, but they want people to find useful information first and foremost and complete desired actions.
Yeah,
that's how marketers get value out of those tools. That's how they are able to create a better user experience. So I would agree. I would chalk this up as a win also. So what do you got?
That's right. Yeah. So the next one here is that you'll learn something new at Summit. And, I hear this constantly. Those sessions at Summit are just so valuable for so many people, not just for the networking opportunities, but that's a time for them to get really hyper-focused on specific subjects and just improve their chops in whatever lane that they're in for the DMO. So I think that we had some really amazing sessions this year. We had a lot of great sessions around content, around SEO development, and then just looking at the new tools in CMS. And we're just talking about UX, but how that steps up your game and creates those friction-free journeys on the site. All of those things are so valuable. So I think that was an easy win for us. We absolutely knew that someone was going to learn something.
Hey, you got to have some low-hanging fruit,
right?
You got to have some low-hanging fruit. Like, listen, the center square in the bingo, it's a given. We want some other givens in there too, right?
That's right.
To make bingo. So okay, so that puts you. That's 2 for 2 for you. So what's your last?
2 for 2. My last one here is that Google actually will sunset Translate, and it has happened.
Wait, are you beating me? Is that what you're saying?
I think I'm beating you just a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, no, we were waiting again for years. Google is a huge development house. They've got a ton of initiatives on their table. And, sometimes they make these announcements and they have to kind of slow roll it. Well, they slow rolled this one for a good 6 or 7 years. So we finally got to the point where it is officially sunset. And we're using a tool called G-Translate now in replace of Google Translate. I really have an inkling, and maybe this might be on next year's bingo card, but I feel like the automated translated programs are not going to be used as often, just because there's so many advancements that have been made in AI in general.
So true.
The translations that you get out of a Gemini or a Chat GPT, they're just so much better in context, in grammar, in style. They're just a better translation. And that automated kind of machine learned translation just isn't as slick. It's not as great. So I think we'll start to see people pull back from those tools and opt for more of the artificially generated ones.
Yeah, and you make a great point there. Those things are evolving at a feverish pace,
That's
right?
right.
Things that would take a long time to develop before. Language is a tricky, nuanced thing, right?
Yeah.
Especially with certain dialects and things of that nature. AI is able to probably combat that in much faster ways than humans
Right.
can.
And just it understands the context so much better. I think that was the one thing that I was the most impressed about when I started playing around with AI tools and looking at the difference between, a machine learned translation or the standard like Google Translate tool as compared to what you could get out of an AI tool. And it's far and away so advanced.
Yeah, can I agree? Okay. So you're 3 for 3. I'm like 1.5 maybe. So, okay, which is great. But we also gathered some other predictions, not just from us, but from others around our organization as well. So let's talk about a few of those that have come true as well. And I think first up of that was the prediction that Google is going to make unnecessary changes to GA4, right? Boy, we're picking on Google.
We are picking on Google today.
But
I hope they're not listening.
It is. Yeah, it's crazy, right? But people are the sentiment around GA4 hasn't been all that great. And wouldn't you know it, GA4 has seen some more updates, tweaks, and frustrations for users. I think as expected. I think a lot of folks miss universal analytics and all that.
Yeah.
But if you think about an unnecessary, or what I would feel like is an unnecessary change, think about the recent change to key events. So, we went from conversion events to now key events for just the sake of doing that, which is everyone has to go in and change things and update things.
Right.
Reporting, it's a mess. So we're making this one a win. Not exactly what we had hoped for, but I think it counts. Right.
It absolutely counts. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You take. How about another one that I'll kick that over to you.
Yeah. So another prediction was sports-driven travel continues to rise rapidly for professional, amateur, and youth sports. This one, I think we could take as a win now. This has absolutely come true.
Yeah, it's amazing how much has taken off. Yeah.
Seriously, we've seen a huge spike in sports tourism in general, especially for youth leagues and amateur events. And, the data that we're looking at supports that. SimpleView's even partnered with a platform called Play Easy, which helps with planning, marketing, and execution of sporting events. So just a little tip, if you haven't added a sports module into your CRM, now is the time to start looking into that because sports brings so much opportunity to destinations. And that's definitely a market that you want to play in if you can.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, I think it's, DMOs have really adopted. I mean, it makes sense, right? It's a close cousin to meetings and group sales. And we saw this really start to come to fruition during the pandemic, right?
Yes.
Coming out of the pandemic, and a lot of these events really helped keep communities alive because they were outdoors, things of that nature. DMOs embrace the opportunity. So yeah, I think that's one we could chalk up to a win. How about another one?
Absolutely. We had Milwaukee runs out of beer during Summit.
Okay, that would be almost, I mean, it's Milwaukee. That would be really hard to do.
It would be hard to do. So technically not truly a win, but we did make a dent, I would say. There were definitely a few bars we hit up.
Okay. So we win in spirit.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay, no pun intended there. Or spirits. Okay. Another one too that I thought was interesting to point out that came true. This actually, I think Paul had brought this up.
Yeah.
Was that a peer-reviewed academic journal is going to get published and written entirely by AI and fool people, right? And believe it or
Yes.
not, this one has actually happened. There was a
Yeah.
paper that was published back in March that was written entirely by AI,
Yep.
and it sparked a lot of debate in certain academic circles. Ironically, the paper explored how to ensure that academic integrity in the age of ChatGPT, and then they used AI.
Yeah.
It created
Isn't that
quite the
wild?
debate, so I think we're checking that one off too.
We are, absolutely. And it's an interesting debate, because professors can't just assign term papers anymore. That's going to be AI generated. There's no doubt in that. So they're going to have to get more sophisticated in the way that they are testing their students,
Agreed.
and in the ways that they are trying to ensure that students are really taking in the concepts that they're trying to teach them. So it's funny that the debate for the actual paper was about academic integrity.
Yeah, which is hilarious, right?
Right.
The fact that it passed and it was an academic journal and then they found out, I think that's hilarious.
Exactly.
Ironic, but you got to love people that do that stuff.
That's
Okay,
right.
so far I think that gives us like 6 or 7 predictions.
Yeah. Yep.
Still waiting on several others. So as a reminder, let's quickly run through some of the predictions that are still on the fence. We talked about a couple, and there's a couple more that are still on the fence. I think, and I think also let's remind the audience too that we'll provide a link to the bingo card inside of the show notes, so you can pull this up and kind of see what Sandy and I have left.
Yep.
On that side. But we talked about the ones on the fence, like Google pushing, or rather, Elon changing X back to Twitter, right?
That's right.
That's a
Yep.
maybe, but not yet. Hey, I lose 20 pounds. Hey, in progress. Let's
That's
keep the
going to
momentum.
happen. I hope
it better. It better. But my destiny is in my hands.
That's right.
What we talked about also, AI playing a major role in influencing the upcoming election. We have that.
That's going to be interesting to watch.
That?
Absolutely. Yeah. And we know that AI has played a role in past elections, just, by identifying people, using psychographics to try to find people who are on the fence, and then serving the appropriate content to push somebody in one person's camp or the other. So there's definitely going to be an AI component, even if it's just the development of content. I think that it's definitely going to play a role in the election.
Boy, I could not agree with you more. I just almost think this is going to be a win already. I know it's TBD still. I do not see how this does not play a role with automated posting, generating content with these news cycles. Like this is going to happen, if not happening already. We'll hear more about this, but I would imagine this is going to be a W. And then we talked about, Google's new AI system becoming more of a household necessity. Thoughts on that?
It's kind of a parlor trick right now. I think, a lot of organizations are still diving in and figuring out, what can this thing do besides just generate a bunch of content for me? So as far as it being a household necessity, I don't think we're there just yet. I think with like home automation, the more that's embraced, and, some of the kinks are worked out, not everybody is going to purchase home automation tools that are all on the same ecosystem. So there's always going to be some weird middleware or something that doesn't work quite right. And you have to say it this way, or you have to, switch over to some other app in order to make it happen. I think once we get those systems talking to each other a little smoother, then we might see more people embracing it. But I'm not quite sure we're going to get that this year.
Yeah. So jury's still out on that. Might be too soon to tell, but certainly assistance, especially with Apple's new OpenAI integration, some things they're doing there with Siri and some of that. It's going to be interesting to see if this revives some of these tools moving forward. So jury's out. Yeah. Okay. Lastly, I think the one that I think is on the fence that has a good chance still, or possibly, is that we had overseas arrivals for travel, that travel coming into the U.S. beating 2019 levels.
Right. Yeah. And I think we really need to wait for holiday travel to kick in to see how close we're going to get here. But so the jury's still out on this one as well.
Yeah, I agree. It's travel is rebounding for that segment. For sure. But, when I was looking at some data and checking on this one too, I think we're estimated at the moment, if things continue at the current pace, to reach about 98% of 2019 numbers. So we'll have to wait and see if things pick up. Yep. If that prediction comes true or not, but we'll have to check that out. So
Yep.
Okay, so what does then all? So we've got the ones that have come true. We got ones that are on the fence that we feel like have a pretty good chance. But what does all this mean for our bingo card so far? Well, we've got 6 or 7 wins. I think there's 8 or 9 that are still up in the air, which means we don't have a bingo quite yet. But I
Yeah.
think with a few more months to go, there's still time.
Yeah. I think we'll get there.
Absolutely. Now, how we'll get a bingo is a couple of things, right? Because we're really close on a couple of rows.
Yeah.
We also can do 4 corners too, right? As you know,
That's right.
I've just heard that from somebody. So I'm not old enough for a bingo all that much. Although, we do enjoy taking the wife. I enjoy taking the moms. Sometimes they enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so I got a little bit of experience, but I'm not quite in that old enough category yet, Sandy.
Right.
For this to be my go-to. But let's take a quick look at like what it would take for us to get a bingo, right? And there's a few spots. One is if Elon pulls the trigger on the Twitter name change,
Right.
that gets us there.
Yep.
Certainly, me hitting my weight goal.
Yeah, that's going to happen. So I think that's going to be our bingo.
Oh my God, God bless you. I need to contact you more often and get that little pump up every day.
I believe in you.
Yeah, I got you. Thanks. I'm glad somebody does. Okay. Certainly AI then making that big splash in the election. I think we're going to get that spot as well. That puts us on our way. And then if we do that, there's a couple other ways we could get it to. One is, one prediction was that the average household was paying for 5 or more streaming services.
Right.
It's closer to 3 right now.
Right.
But we'll see what happens there. I know that a lot's changing. People are cutting the cord more all the time.
Yes.
Or if social media metrics start to become more valuable than email. That was another prediction that someone had on there. If any of those come to fruition, we're going to have a bingo by the end of the year. So we're going to have to just wait and see.
Yeah, that's right. So we're going to have to do this check-in one more time at the end of the year. And I think we did pretty good this year. I'm thinking we're going to hit a bingo.
Well, one of us did. You did a great job so far. You're 3 for 3. So that's great.
Yeah.
So, listen, we'll circle back. We'll touch base on this as we get closer towards the end of the year or early next year. So stay tuned. Check back soon and see if we hit that bingo. And again, check it out in the show notes. We'll put a link to that card there so you can keep an eye on yourself. So Sandy, thank you once again.
Thank
this
you,
is kind
Jason.
of a fun one.
Yeah.
Kind of cool to see how good we were in with our psychic skills. See
That's
how we
right.
could predict the future. but thank you so much for stopping by again.
Yeah, it's been great.
You bet. And thanks for tuning in. If you're not subscribed, please do so now. It really helps us out. We're available on Spotify and iTunes. So until next time, we'll see you. Have a great day.